Uh, Anybody that trying to seek justice in Shelby County, once they blackballed you, it's over with. It's over with. It's totally over with. Is everybody seeming to avoid exposing the Shelby County Sheriff Department? But a prosecution is not a servant of the police department. The prosecution is a servant of the people. They supposed to seek truth, irregardless where it's at. But in Shelby County, they want to win the Super Bowl. They looking at how many cases they win. They don't care about innocent.
Now, y'all, what's up? This True Results. Now, we gonna look like we finna make a whole damn series out of these murderers, crooked ass Shelby County sheriff's officers, MPD, DAs, assistant DAs, and everybody and their mama. Right now, y'all remember the last video I did when I showed you the early story, the guy who blew the whistle about the conditions at 201 Popular back in the days, right? They set him up and two more of his co-workers, when he was working at Shelby County Jail, because he blew the whistle. They call him a whistleblower. He was reporting to the contacting the FBI, telling them how dangerous working at the Shelby County Jail was back in the days, and all of the corruption. And so, in order to silence him, they ran a campaign on him and set him up to make it look like he was selling weed using a career confidential informant by the name of Alfredo Shaw. But we're gonna get into him a little later. Now, this is what opened up the can of worms when they tried to silence Mr. Story for reporting a corrupt ass to the FBI. And then when the FBI started investigating the conditions at 201 Poplar, the Shelby County Jail, they exposed they was getting too close to another scandal that they was involved in. And this scandal is which leads us to the second part of the cover up, and this involves murder this time, right? So that back in the days, at the same time, Mr. Earlist blew the whistle on them, the feds came. And when the feds came about the conditions and the corruption at the jailhouse, they got spooked. They got spooked because they was also in the middle of another scandal. This scandal was called Jobs for Cash. That means, this is a little rundown before we get into the nitty gritty. From February 1991 until he was fired, Alton Ray Mills served as Chief Deputy Sheriff of the Shelby County Sheriff's Department in Memphis, Tennessee. By all accounts, Sheriff A.C. Gillis gave Mills free reign in day-to-day operations. So this guy right here was the second in command, and crooked-ass Sheriff A.C. Gillis was the sheriff, right? He was the one over the day-to-day operate. Well, he was the boss, but he put this guy in charge over the day-to-day operations. Now, Stephen Tormenta is a North Memphis grocer. He owned a grocery store, whose convenience store is at 1486 Chelsea. At that time, he was a political crony of Sheriff A.C. Gillis and was appointed as a special advisor in the sheriff's office. That means Sheriff AC Getter was grooming him to be up next when his term, in case he wasn't re-elected. Now, this dude here just owned the grocery store, but check this out. That's how I show you how crooked they was. Tormenta liked to play cops and robbers, rolling around the county in a department-issued cruiser, wearing a deputy's uniform with a sidearm. He would harass members of the public while impersonating an officer. Tormenta got loans for bribes through his business for 5 named victims and processed a credit card payment for the 6th, laundering the proceeds through the store accounts. Now, check this out. This is in context with the scandal that made officers assassinate one of their own officers. Just pay attention. Between working for the FBI and for the Germantown police, Harold Hayes, had been appointed by crooked-ass Sheriff Gillis, as the Internal Affairs Director in 1994. Now, he didn't know that this FBI agent / Germantown police officer was going to uncover they jobs for cash scandal. It took only 6 months for him to get fired. You see what I'm saying? Hayes had to report to Mills, the second in command, about his investigations. But after a short while, he started getting reports about Mills himself. So while he was doing internal affairs, he started to get reports of the second in command from the sheriff that his ass was crooked. So who can he run to? So Hayes took advantage of an out-of-town trip by the chief deputy to bring his findings to Gillis. Meaning, he waited till since he couldn't report to his boss man about his boss man, he thought he was gonna wait till the one that hired him go out of town, and he was gonna go above his head and take it to the sheriff. Unbeknownst to him, the sheriff was in on it too. Boy, Hayes and the sheriff's legal advisors then presented his evidence to the DA, John Pirati. The next day, Mills came back into town and had Hayes fired, and Gillis approved. This is his little convenience store. Now, Hayes had reported the case to the FBI in early 1995, which started an inquiry. The federal indictment of Mills and the grocery store owner, both of them got convicted in a federal trial, right? Now, here's the guy I was telling you about from the first story. This is the first cover-up that led to what we finna get into now, the murder of one of their own deputies by another deputy, and the framing of a black man who conveniently managed to, with his handcuffs behind his back, shoot the deputy that was transporting him to jail in the side of the head 3 times. Just wait for it. We're going to get into all that first-hand account. Now, like I said, this is early story. We already covered him. He was a whistleblower about the dangerous working conditions and all the brutality and murder that was going on in the jail, right? So I already showed y'all what happened to him. He never got his job back, and they put some charges on him. And this is, remember I did that about Big Country, the one who ordered the hit on this guy in 94. Now, Big Country, it was said that the powers that be got Big Country to get Dedrick Taylor out the way because he had information about the jobs for cash. That means the job for cash scandal was they was charging people that wanted a job as deputy to work for the sheriff department. They had to pay. If you had $4,000, you got you a job, and that's what the scandal consisted of. That's why they call it jobs for cash. Now, this guy with the feds, with what this guy brought in the heat, everybody got spooked, so they started cleaning up the house. And This is the first murder. We finna get into another murder, and like I said, this is a can of worms that we just gonna have to see all the way through. I'm just updating the people, and so we'll know where we at. And in Big Country, like I was saying, it was said that the highest ranking member of the Vice Lords was promised something to put a hit to get this guy killed. And then after he got killed, they got rid of Big Country. And he's in PC currently. He started in the penitentiary in Riverbend Maximum Facility, a subset called the Junkyard Dogs. And that's gonna lead, y'all just wait, like I said, that's gonna lead to another murder. So they got Big Country out the way, what they call interstate commerce or something, where they put you in another prison, take you away from your family. You can't use the phone, something like El Chapo, as a cover-up because he knew too much. So that's that, right? Now, let's get into a few of these details before we get into the nitty-gritty, right? As y'all can see, the witness, like this was a juvenile Harmon and two more jailers. All right, both of the civilians got murdered. We'll get into all it. It's a lot of murder around this jobs for cash scheme, as y'all about to see, and it's gonna be very, very interesting. Just hold on. I'm trying to bring us up to context. All right. Now this is the officer, Goodman. Now this is the murder first. This is the events. Goodman was a 4-year veteran of the sheriff's department. So she was recruited after the jobs for cash scheme started in 1991. We don't know if she was a victim of the job scheme. We know that the indictment came in April 1996, so the FBI investigation at the sheriff's department was creating lots of reasons for damage control. That means they have to, it's like the mafia, like if y'all seen, what was that movie? Not Casino, Goodfellas. When De Niro, when they hit that big lick at the airport, and he wasn't gonna break bread with all them people. He wanted the money for himself, so he killed all his whole crew. Yeah, that's like this. Everybody must go. By the conspirators who were operating at a high level in the government. Combine this cover-up with the job for cash scheme involving A.C. Gillis' second in command and his political appointee Termina, the Goodman murder cover-up, and we had a fourth conspiracy. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. All right, we already know Bill Gibbons. That was the crooked DA. The whole system is crooked, right? I'm trying to get to the matter of fact, let's do it like this. Let's do it the true way. Let's get out of here. Let's go to my files, my handy dandy folder I got over here called Murdering MPD, and see what we got in the vault. Now, this is the lady. Let me just say it like this. This is Deputy Sherry Goodman. She was gonna be a witness in a jobs for cash trial, a federal witness. So they had her clipped. So that's just who we finna talk about. She got clipped, right? This is how she got clipped, right? Remember, this is the sheriff. That is the number one in charge. That was in charge, right? This is the underboss, as you will, the second in command, the deputy sheriff, the one that was running the job for cash scheme. It's like a capo, you know what I'm saying? The boss, the underboss, right? And now, let me show let me show y'all this right quick. Now, check this out. This guy right here. Now, wait till we finna get into it. I appreciate y'all patience. Now I'm finna open up the files, and we're gonna be straight layman turn. Look at this fool. Look like he got kidnapped. Now, he did this shit to himself. He the former deputy ME medical examiner Examiner O.C. Smith. Now, just wait for it. Now, let's get into it. I just want y'all to see that and wait till I tell y'all why he appeared to be kidnapped. Now, let's go here. Let's go here. Right. Now, these are the circumstances of, I should have went somewhere else, but let me see. Now, Sheriff's County Deputy, Shelby County Sheriff's Department officials kept quiet Saturday about the investigation into the fatal shooting of a sheriff's deputy early Friday morning. A suspect, Roderick Cobb, remained in custody on an unrelated charge. It was unclear how the shooting took place. Cobb, who was handcuffed and placed in the back seat, who was handcuffed behind his back and placed in the back seat of the deputy's patrol car, has denied firing the shots that killed Deputy Sherry Goodman. Authorities would not comment on other possible suspects, including a woman who had been with Cobb minutes before the shooting. The sheriff won't allow anyone to discuss elements of an investigation, said Sheriff's Department spokesman Kay Black. He used to be chief of detectives, and he's very by the book when it comes to conducting an investigation and not leaking information. The investigation is being led by the department's detective division with assistance from the FBI and the Memphis Police Department. Investigators have conducted several tests, Black said. She would not say if these tests included a test for gunshot residue on the hands of suspects. Such tests can show whether a person has fired a gun recently. The events that led to the shooting began with a routine traffic stop at 2:18 a.m. Friday in Fraser. Officer Goodman took Cobb into custody after pulling him over and learning that he was wanted for violating patrol. They probably meant parole. A female companion was not arrested. With the help of another deputy, Officer Goodman checked Cobb for weapons and found none. Cobb was handcuffed with his arms behind his back. The other deputy left, responding to another call. Goodman allowed the woman to use her phone, her personal cell phone. It is unclear what happened to the woman at that point. Just wait for it. We got letters straight from Cobb. Yeah. Goodman began driving Cobb to the Criminal Justice Center at 2:59 a.m. 15 minutes later, Officer Goodman was found at Thomas and Weekly in North Memphis in the wrecked patrol car. She had bullet wounds to the left side of her head. Cobb was gone. Her .40 caliber Beretta was missing, and a .38 caliber revolver was on the front seat. Sheriff A.C. Gillis related that information Friday, but did not suggest a possible scenario that would have allowed the handcuffed Cobb to shoot Goodman. I know how you're going to shoot him with your hand behind your back. Cobb's sister, Sharon Cobb, said her brother offered an explanation when he talked to her by telephone before he surrendered to Memphis police Friday morning. Cobb told his sister that the shots were fired from a car that pulled up beside Goodman's patrol car. Gillis would not say whether the car had been shot from the outside. Sharon Cobb said her brother told her he ducked down during the shooting. When the car crashed, he kicked out a side window, dove through it, and ran, she said. Authorities said Cobb appears to have kicked out a back window. Sharon Cobb said her brother told her he didn't take anything from the car. Investigators were questioning Cobb's companion Friday. Black would not say on Saturday if the woman still was being questioned or if she had been released. They better find her. She might be dead. They're on a murder spree. Black wouldn't identify the woman, I know, because I ain't want y'all to know who she was, saying the name would be released only if the woman is charged. Cobb, 25-year-old black male, had been charged in the past 2 years with vandalism and possession of weapons and drug paraphernalia. He has been held on a warrant for his violation of his parole. Now let's get into Cobb's version. Cobb's version of events. Oh yeah, I came prepared. Now, all right, before we open up these two letters from Cobb, yes, True been doing his due diligence, something like journalism around this biatch. Now, let's reiterate They wanted her gone because she was going to be a witness testifying about all the money they've been charging people for selling jobs. They couldn't let that happen. So they set her up on this night to execute her by one of their own. They used Cobb, in my personal opinion, as a scapegoat. And now we about to see how does a man handcuff in the back seat, riding down the street, minding business for a minor. They still don't know why he was pulled over, but we about to get into all that. But how does he shoot somebody from the left side of their head when he's sitting on the right side of the car in the back seat with his hands handcuffed behind his damn back? Well, let's see what he say. True. All right. This is his handwritten letter that he wrote from jail. On 2019, years later, right? It's like, dear Mr. Fergus, Roland, honestly, I don't know who I can trust about my case because I've always told nothing but the truth from the beginning of the events of that night. I never could understand how telling the truth would get me slapped around and punched on for no reason. They beat the shit out of him. Y'all about to find out. The truth of the matter is what's real, but no one wanted to believe what I was telling them, and that what I was saying was all a lie. Something I had made up to get out of killing an officer is what the two detectives interviewing me said. These are the same two that signed the statement papers that I gave them. I never signed a form giving up my rights or anything other. Any documents you see are... Man, hold on for a minute. Shit, messing up my flow. All right. Any documents you see or have are falsified papers that were my main concern. I filed all kind of papers to obtain the so-called affidavits, but never got any of them. I have also asked for the affidavits of the state witnesses and never gotten those. I have newspapers that say one thing and the many news channels saying something totally different. The truth is before your eyes, and now some has finally seen one of the things that I and everyone else has talked about before over 20 plus years. The handcuffs were cuffed behind me, and two sets of cuffs were used, not the cuffs that are in evidence. Either the cuffs were made not the cuffs that were in evidence. The cuffs that they handcuffed me with that night look like this, not like these cuffs right here that they presented at trial. I could not move with the cuffs on because it hurt to move. I still have the cuts or scars. So what he's saying is, in they haste to frame him for what they did, murdering one of their own, they missed the cuffs, because you're about to see why they had to substitute these cuffs, because he got out the back seat of that car, as we about to find out. On my wrist from being cut because they were so tight. I could not move from side to side in any kind of way. The reason being is because I threw them into the trash can behind a laundromat where they wash clothes. It used to be a corner store back in the late early to mid 90s. There was nothing in the car when I left it, so where did the gun come from? I have many questions about many things that were not done right in the trial and before in preliminary hearing that the judge let go on without dismissing it for improperly mishandling the evidence. I filed multiple complaints against Brett Steen and nothing was done. A lot of my paperwork was destroyed while at NWCX because of me going back and forth to special needs because of a bad hip that needed to be replaced. I was on disability on the streets. How could I do what they said I did? I was in pain on a daily basis, taking 800 to 1,600 milligrams for the pain. None of my health issues were of concern to any of them. They just kept saying I did shoot this lady and I didn't. And I didn't. How could I when my hands were behind me with limited movement? The gun. Wow. How can there not be any prints matching anyone, let alone the prosecutor pick it up with his bare hands in preliminary hearing, and my lawyer never said a word? God is good and he will guide you with the truth always. We've all prayed for this day to come. For walking the righteous path of truth of honesty will always lead to the right person in the right place and time. I think you should meet my mom and pastor if this is true. Now let's get into the detailed circumstances of that night. Hold on for 1 second, y'all. I'll be right back. Don't y'all go nowhere. Be right back. I'll be right back. All right, here I go. All right, let's get into this man's chance, the events for that night. Now, pay attention very closely, y'all. Here come the nitty gritty. On that night, I was driving a lady friend of mine back home. The officer passed her speeding down the road. 5 minutes later, the same officer was behind us again. And I was like, damn, where did she come from? The officer took off again. As I got closer to the turnout point, out of nowhere, the lights flashed and I was pulled over. I asked why and was told it's just a routine check. I and the lady I was with, names were ran. Mine came back driving on suspended license. Nothing was ever said about the tags hanging off of the car, nor was there any other reason to be pulled over. I was not speeding or anything other. After being placed in the cuffs, I was told by the officer that my lady friend would have to walk because she couldn't drive a stick shift. I asked the officer not to leave her on the side of the road, plus she still had a long way to walk home. Another officer pulled up about 5 minutes later, asking her if she needed assistance. That right there is when they probably got the drop on her. And she said yes, because she had to make room in her car to take the young lady to a nearby gas station so she could get someone to come and pick her up. The second officer searched me, and I was placed in the back of his car. Then he was called for something, and I was taken out of his car and placed in the back of her car after being searched another time. So that's 2 times they searched him, no pistol. The first officer did search me before placing me in handcuffs. I told both officers that I couldn't sit down because the handcuffs were hurting real bad. That's when the other officer seen that one pair of cuffs wasn't going to work, and he gave the other officer an extra pair to put on me. After being placed back in the first officer's car, a tow truck was called to pull the car, and he couldn't start it, and I was taken out of the car to show the tow truck driver how the car is started. We drove to the gas station so the young lady could call someone to come and get her. On the way to 201 Poplar, that's the Shelby County Jail, he's getting transported now. On the way to 201 Poplar, the officer called in her transport. A few minutes later, a car pulled alongside. I looked at the car, gray 4-door with dark tinted windows, and it had prime spots all over it like it had been in a body shop. I turned to look forward and I heard like 3 shots. I got down on the floor of the car. As I did, the car sped up and to the left, hit something and stopped. When I looked up, the other car was still going forward and the brake lights came on. And the car looked like it was turning around, but it didn't. I turned to see if the officer was okay. Asked her if she was alright and never got an answer. I took my feet and kicked out the glass from the back window that shattered, dove through the window onto the ground, and took my time to take the handcuffs underneath me, placing my leg through one at a time. And I stood up and opened the front passenger door and crawled in to check the officer, and she just fell to the right across the front seat. I tried to see if she was breathing and pressed on her chest to try and get a response. There wasn't anything and no blood anywhere. That means she died on impact. When you don't see no blood, that means you died instantly. Took the handcuffs key from her belt, and as I was taking off the cuffs, I looked down the street to make sure the same car wasn't coming back because I had seen some headlights in the distance. I took her gun from the holster and walked about 2 blocks before throwing the cuffs in the trash can behind the laundromat. Now, somebody asked why he took her gun, because if he got escaped and somebody just killed her ass, and I ain't got no pistol, I'm going to take her gun. She don't need it no more. I ain't saying it like that, but she did. And I know if they come back, at least I got a strap. That's what I think. All right, so he threw the handcuffs in the trash behind the laundromat and just walked until I got a ride to the bus stop downtown, where I caught the bus to my mom's house. When I got off at the bus stop, I walked down the street right past an undercover officer sitting 2 houses down from my mother's house. And I walked right past him down the street. So they was already waiting on him then, like they knew who he was. Right down the street where another officer was sitting, and walked right past him to a friend's house and made a phone call to my grandmother. A call to my cousin, a call home, and a call to a family friend that I was going to turn myself in to. But somehow a friend in the neighborhood seen me, and I told them where I was, and I was arrested, kicked, beaten, choked, and slapped around before being placed into an officer's car. Since I had time after I called to turn myself in, I hid the officer's gun under the front passenger seat of a car that belonged to a friend that turned state witness due to the friend watching. I don't know what they mean. Due to the, I don't know, due to the friend, no, due to the friend watching all, whatever. He turned, this friend that he put the gun under his passenger seat turned state witness, watching all, friend. He was a well-known car thief that was a gang member, of which a deal was made for him to testify against me. How else could they pack up and move out of the neighborhood overnight? I've shown the gang members my paperwork while I've been in prison, and they themselves are still looking for him. We were helping his mother with all her bills when all this happened. Everyone stopped paying her bills. So how can you move overnight without any money unless you were paid to turn state witness on someone? So he's saying they were broke as hell and he was on disability and he was paying all the bills. So how can the next day after he lied on him, they got enough money to pack up and leave? There's nowhere you're going to move unless they paid you or are put into witness protection of some sorts. Monstreal Butcher is his name. Okay, I'm gonna have to get on there for part 3 or whatever. Monstreal Butcher is his name. If they paid him to testify against me, that is illegal and should have been made known to the judge, prosecutor, and my lawyers or investigators that were on my case. In preliminary hearing, they said I was stopped because the tags were hanging off the car. That's a lie. The screws had lock nuts on them, and the only way to get them off was to cut them off. The car I was in had no fingerprints on it. How can that be when a young lady and I had sex in the car and on the hood as well? Why did they only find gunpowder on the left side and not on the whole inside of the car, since they said the shots were fired inside on TV and the news? Good question. They supposed to find gunpowder out in the back seat. All right. If you shoot a person close range, their brains will be everywhere, right? How is it that the gun was never tested and it was stolen from a police officer as well? So how did it get to Memphis, and when did he report it stolen? I never signed a waiver of rights form or anything other than a form saying that the statement I was giving them is true, and that was on video, of which I asked for a lawyer, and they continue to question me. Is that not against the law to continue with the questions after I asked for a lawyer? Why wasn't I or my lawyer given a discovery pack we continue to ask the judge about every time someone got on the stand to testify for the state? There was no signed statement or affidavit. Is that fact? You have to sign something before you take the stand as a witness. Where is it? If you get the video and watch it all the way through, you can see for yourself they tried to cut it off to make it look like they stopped questioning me, but they didn't. I said something to the lawyer at the time, and nothing was done about it. The whole thing is made up for their benefit, not mine. I know where something is, but I can't trust anyone. It may or may not be there after all these years, but the person that owns the building just may have it. If they did find it, why weren't there pictures taken of where they found it? I pled guilty to stop the threats on my family, as well as the young lady's family too. Her family had been threatened by them also. One of the investigators I hired found that out later. I never seen any affidavits or statements on any of the state's witness. Why is that? P.S. That God guides you with was true. My prayers are with you. Truthfully, Roderick Cobb. Wowzers. All right, y'all. Now let's get into y'all got that? So we're gonna get right over here to this guy right here. Now this is the former deputy medical examiner, right? O.C. Smith, right? He looked like something out of that movie where the dude, the people strapped a bomb to the dude neck and told him to go rob some banks. Anybody seen that movie? And then they let the bomb explode with him sitting with his leg across the middle of the street. This is the deputy medical examiner who manipulated the whole damn autopsy report and moved bullet holes and everything. And then he gonna strap his ugly ass self with some damn barbed wire and try to fake his own goddamn kidnapping. Let's get into this clown. This ain't funny, but it's funny as hell. Let's see why he did this. Cause that shit didn't work. America dumbest criminal. Alright. Nah, that's not it. Boy, I better have this. Where the clown? Oh man, I ain't got the clown file. What? Hold on for a minute. I ain't got the damn clown file, man. Oh, here you go, right here. I know I had the clown file. Let's get it. Let me see what happened. All right. All right. A bizarre attack in 2002 left a medical examiner in Shelby County, Tennessee. Y'all see how the whole city corrupt, man? And I don't little flipper, man. Cause if man, cause I'm telling y'all, we still scraping. A bizarre attack in 2002 left a medical examiner in Shelby County, Tennessee, handcuffed to a window guard, wrapped in barbed wire, and with a motion-sensitive bomb strapped to his chest. Twist it, shake it, Or move it. You're dead, the assailant said, according to the alleged victim, Dr. O.C. Dumbass Smith. Welcome to death row. A security guard discovered Smith, 52, at Memphis Regional Forensic Medical Center in the early morning of June 2, 2002. Smith was treated for cuts, bruises, and a chemical burn to his face. In an even stranger development, detectives concluded that the highly respected doctor faked his attack. He was arrested on charges of lying to federal authorities and illegally possessing a bomb. Openings were set to begin Tuesday at the U.S. District Court in Memphis. Smith faces up to 20 years in prison. Investigators went around and beat the bushes trying to solve this case, said U.S. Attorney Bud Cummins of Arkansas. Well, they concluded that he did it to himself. A Tennessee prosecutor would not try Smith because of a conflict of interest. Smith worked with the Tennessee law enforcement agencies for more than 20 years. Makes you wonder about Dolph autopsy report, right? Right. Authorities initially believed an attacker blinded Smith with lye solution, then stuffed his mouth with barbed wire so he could not move or shout for help for 3 hours. However, Smith only suffered minor injuries, which cast doubt on his claims, Cummins said. Agents have been able to recreate the attack on their own, he said. Psychiatrist Park Diaz, who has worked on the cases of Jeffrey Dahmer, the D.C. area snipers, and Unabomber, is expected to testify that Smith's behavior categorized fictitious victimization disorder, a term Diaz coined for the case. Sufferers of factitious disorder fake illness to gain attention and sympathy, according to the medical handbook. Defense attorney Jerry Easter, however, contends Smith did not fake the attack and describes the true assailant as a deranged person who sought to punish the medical examiner. Before the event, there was one other bomb found at the medical center that had biblical references to it. In April 2001, there was letters sent to a newspaper reporter in DA's office vilifying Dr. Smith because of his testimony in a capital murder hearing. Easter said, it appears that all three events are related. The letter called Smith a pawn of the devil and the convicted murderer Philip Workman an innocent lamb of God. Man, not only has Diaz never examined Smith, but the psychiatrist's false testimony caused the Texas Supreme Court to overturn the conviction of child killer Andrea Yates in January. Man, I don't want to hear none of that. And that's that, y'all. Now, let me pull this up right quick. Now, let me play a little bit. This guy right here is what started opening up this can of worms that led to one. And they have committed so many damn murders for year after year around in this one job for cash thing. So we're going to conclude this video. And y'all just pay attention, because when I say a can of worms, boy, man, salute. Like, share, subscribe, I was supporting. Shout out to Verna, Lizzie, my man Clint, my man Clint, all my brothers and sisters, kings and queens, Kenny Nominus, of course Corey Red, everybody, man, for y'all donations, because we trying to do better, and it's all appreciated. Like I always like to say, stay blessed, stay true, and always stay safe. Like, share, subscribe, and that will be another way to support True Results. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all better get ready, because this shit is serious. I see all my files. Don't peep. I'm going to holler at y'all later. True.